This podcast is supported by MIDI Health. Are you in midlife, feeling dismissed, unheard, or just plain tired of the old healthcare system? You're not alone. For too long, women's serious midlife health issues have been trivialized, ignored, and met with a just deal with it attitude. Many of us have been made to feel ashamed or forgotten. In fact, even today, 75% of women seeking care for menopause and perimenopause issues are left entirely untreated. But here's the powerful truth. It's time for a change. It's time for MIDI. MIDI is not just a healthcare provider. It's a women's telehealth clinic, founded and supported by world-class leaders in women's health. What sets MIDI apart? We are the only women's telehealth brand covered by major insurance companies, making high-quality expert care accessible and affordable. Our clinicians provide one-on-one, face-to-face consultations where they truly listen to your unique needs. We offer a full range of holistic, data-driven solutions, from hormonal therapies and weight loss protocols to lifestyle coaching and preventative health guidance. This isn't one-size-fits-all care. This is care uniquely tailored for you. At MIDI, you will join our patients who feel seen, heard, and prioritized. You will find that our mission is clear: to help all women thrive in midlife, giving them access to the health care they deserve. Because we believe midlife isn't the middle at all. It is the beginning of your second act. Ready to feel your best and write your second act script? Visit joinmidi.com today to book your personalized insurance-covered virtual visit. That's joinmidi.com. MIDI, the care women deserve.
Everyone talks about summer like it's supposed to be carefree. But if this season brings up money stress, body stress, family stress, or social stress, that's real too. Growth therapy can help with that. Whether it's your first time in therapy or your 50th, Grow makes it easier to find a therapist who fits you, not the other way around. They connect you with thousands of independent licensed therapists across the U.S., offering both virtual and in-person visits, nights and weekends. You can search by what matters, like insurance, specialty, identity, or availability, and get started in as little as 2 days. And if something comes up, you can cancel up to 24 hours in advance at no cost. There are no subscriptions, no long-term commitments. You just pay per session. Grow helps you find therapy on your time. Whatever challenges you're facing, Grow Therapy is here to help. Grow accepts over 100 insurance plans, including Medicaid in some states. Sessions average about $21 with insurance, and some pay as little as $0 depending on their plan. Visit growtherapy.com/book now to get started. That's growtherapy.com/book now. growtherapy.com/book now. Availability and coverage by state and insurance plan.
This is the third episode in our latest season featuring missing persons across the United States, and the second in a two-part series. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed are solely the interviewee's own. All individuals are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. There's discussion of substance use and violence in this series, so listener discretion is advised. This is The Fall Line. Last time on The Fall Line, we began the story of Anastasia Brenda Ferriera. Born December 9th, 2003, Anastasia was the only child of her mother, Natalie Padilla, and beloved by her family. Her maternal grandmother, Brenda, she helped raise her every weekend from the time that she was a baby. We heard from both of them about who Anastasia was, a precocious, friendly child who was fiercely protective of the people she loved. Natalie recalls that Anastasia was both what she described as a daredevil and a girly girl, a girl who enjoyed spending time at her grandmother's rural home. That's where she could care for animals and just be with her family. As she grew older, she developed a love for art, and by the time she was a teen, Anastasia was an aspiring tattoo artist who filled her bedroom walls with her own designs. We talked about her teen years, too. The bullying in 8th grade, the expulsion due to a fight that she didn't start, the back and forth between her parents' households, her boyfriend, the car accident, the signs that something had shifted. By the time she was 19, Anastasia was living with Natalie and spending her days in the stretch of Central Avenue Northeast she knew better than anywhere else, the International District, a dense, diverse corridor on Albuquerque's east side, historically under-resourced and with higher-than-average crime stats for the area. It's also where a faith-based ministry called God's Warehouse is located, on Central Avenue Northeast. Founded by Pastor Chuck Aragon, the ministry serves more than 400 people a day. They provide meals, clothing, and addiction recovery support. Anastasia had been there often, and she even helped out with serving food. Her family knew that she was struggling with substance use. They knew she was out most days when Natalie was at work, moving through the neighborhood on foot, though Natalie did tell us that she usually returned to the family home, and she checked in often. Anastasia's phone had no active service, so if she wanted to call or text, she needed to be near Wi-Fi. She usually communicated through Facebook Messenger, for text and for calls, and her family knew that too. What they didn't know was where exactly she was going or who she was spending time with. On March 1st, 2023, Anastasia sent her mother a text, the words, "I love you," followed by flower emojis. It was the kind of text that Anastasia usually sent, and Natalie could usually expect follow-ups throughout the day, questions about what was for dinner, or a heads up that Anastasia would be out for the night. But this time, things were different. There was no follow-up, and Anastasia never came home. But it's not the last digital activity from Anastasia. Based on APD records, Anastasia continued communicating through Facebook Messenger after that, with people in her network, people she trusted, and at least one person who frightened her. Her last public Facebook post was March 15th. Her phone last pinged on March 16th at the 8000 block of Central Avenue Northeast, the block where God's Warehouse sits. Her last known outgoing message was sent at 3:41 p.m. that afternoon. After that, her social media went dark, and her messages stopped. Now, we move into what came next. Her family's efforts, what investigators found, and what nearly 3 years of searching has and hasn't resolved. We know now about those Facebook messages, but at the time, Natalie did not. She only knew that her daughter had fallen out of contact at the beginning of the month. The full nature of Anastasia's communication would not become clear until she finally got access to the police report. Back in March of 2023, Natalie was waiting for news. But the last 2 weeks of the month passed with no word. Then, so did most of April. As we said last episode, she missed Easter. That's when Natalie posted a message on Anastasia's Facebook, an appeal to her friends, asking if anyone had heard from her. Anastasia had gone quiet and come back before, though not for this long. And there was something else holding Natalie back.
So I did kind of wait to jump the gun to post anything because of her drug use. I didn't want to cry wolf and then her walk through the door, weeks later. So I kind of did wait to post anything to just kind of fill it out and hopefully that she was going to just come back home.
We told you last time that Anastasia had legal issues. One concern was an outstanding warrant for failure to appear after her arrest as a passenger in a stolen vehicle.
I didn't want to get the cops involved because she did have a warrant for her not completing. She didn't go to court after the follow-up after they released her because she did have court. She never went. So I didn't want to get the cops involved and scare her and push her away. So in April of 2023, I had posted on her Facebook, reaching out to friends that if you hadn't been in contact with Anastasia, please let her know that we are looking for her. We're worried. She didn't come home for Easter. And then May 15th is when the police report was filed, but it was not done by me. I actually went down to the police station in our district and tried filing a police report, and they told me that I needed to have a police come down to my house. So I called the cops. They sent somebody about 2 a.m. and they had no idea. The cops didn't even know why they were there. They actually thought they were there for a domestic dispute. So they came in kind of like in a defense mode. And I let them know, no, my daughter's missing and I'm trying to file a police report. Earlier today, we went down to the substation and, the receptionist said I need a call and you guys would come down and file the report for me. And they said, no, we don't do that. You actually need to do the report at the substation. So in the meantime of that, my daughter's grandma on her dad's side, she lives in Florida. She was able to call it in and complete it over the phone. I filed a complaint for the runaround and for them not taking my report at the time and me having to go back. And then that was it. They assigned a detective. We got a detective. Took us a good 6 months to meet him. Finally met him, and then it was just it didn't go as planned.
According to the official documents we reviewed, there was some issue of precisely how to list Anastasia in databases. It seems that because Anastasia had an active felony warrant or warrants for receiving and transferring a stolen vehicle, she could not be classified under NCIC guidelines as an endangered missing person. Per the police report, she was a passenger and not the driver. But she still had the charges, and that limited her classification, which in turn affects the coverage that she might have gotten in those early days. And based on various law enforcement sources that we consulted, it affects a case too. An endangered missing person case receives, quote, high priority investigative techniques. A detective was assigned, but as Natalie said, they wouldn't have their first official meeting for close to 6 months. In the meantime, she began her own search. In the early days of Anastasia's case, once she'd been officially listed as a missing person, her grandmother Brenda said that family members had begun canvassing themselves. They spread out across the international district to search out anyone who might have seen her.
It was like a nightmare that I prayed wasn't real. I mean, we did everything. We started with the flyers. I went with Natalie. My husband and I took flyers out too, and Natalie made some huge posters that we took all, in our area.
So going out there and talking to the people in that area, because people kind of just hang out outside, they gave us some addresses of where they had seen her. So I went and I knocked on those doors and spoke to the men of the home and, gave them pictures. They knew exactly who Anastasia was. They confirmed that they know her and that, yeah, she was there prior, but they hadn't seen her. I also gave that information to the police. They also went down and spoke to those men and went into their house and talked to them. And my daughter's dad's side also was putting flyers. We were just kind of hitting the streets and just trying to get as much information as possible and let people know that we are looking for her and, she's missing. So flyers, we tried contacting the news, but it took 2 years to get the news to cover it. We created a GoFundMe and my family and people from my work donated money. And that's how I was able to pay for flyers and pay for billboards. We had 2 digital billboards that were up for 2 months on I-25 and I-40. We've had radio ads, newspaper ads. We've hit Santa Fe, Belen, Moriarty, Grants, and in between areas, just putting flyers everywhere, putting them at truck stops. We went to the methadone clinics. We went to the homeless camps. We went to the homeless shelters, the women's shelter, the abused and battered women's shelter, everywhere.
As many listeners know, I'm from Atlanta, and it's already very hot here. Summer just isn't a vacation when you have meetings to attend and conferences to speak at, and a lot of occasions when you have to look good no matter what the weather is like. That's why I love Quince. I can buy clothes that are lightweight, comfortable, and that look amazing no matter where I'm headed. I actually just got a really cute pair of Ponte cargo pants that are dressy enough for professional meetings, but relaxed enough that I can wear them morning until night. Quince has so many gorgeous everyday pieces, including 100% European linen tops, pants, and dresses. And with styles that start at just $32, you can complete your summer wardrobe. After all, everything at Quince is priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. And you can buy a lot more than just clothes with Quince. In fact, you can elevate just about everything: bedding, housewares, and much more, all in one place. And since Quince works directly with ethical factories, you'll feel good about what you're buying too. I know I do. In fact, I've already picked out my next purchase, an organic textured cotton peasant blouse that will get me through this heat in style. Elevate your summer wardrobe. Go to quince.com/fallline for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/fallline for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/fallline.
The GLP-1 pill you've been waiting for is now on Ro. Yep, it's finally here. With the same clinically proven ingredient, now in a pill, and now on Ro. It's the first FDA-approved GLP-1 pill for weight loss at the lowest price available. That's one daily GLP-1 pill for big results. Now on Ro. Go to ro.co/listen to see if you qualify. RX only. Go to ro.co/safety for serious side effects and boxed warning associated with GLP-1s.
Hey there, it's Wayfair here, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app, when you spot it, a brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's room of choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Again, Natalie has not read the full police report. She finds it too difficult. So what follows about the investigation comes from the APD records that we obtained, and not from Natalie's direct knowledge of the case. Last time, we told you a little about the messaging timeline the police investigation revealed, but we need to touch back on a few important things. In September 2023, APD obtained Anastasia's Facebook Messenger records through a search warrant, and these records allowed investigators to reconstruct her final known hours in detail. In the early morning hours of March 16th, beginning just after midnight, Anastasia was messaging several people she knew. She argued with a male acquaintance who was pressuring her to come to his apartment. She declined, and the conversation turned heated. She reached out to another friend, asking where he was. At 12:47 a.m., she messaged a third person, asking him to answer his phone and saying that she needed help. At 1:34 a.m., she sent her location to a man she trusted and told him if she went quiet and stopped responding, she was at that location, and the person she was with was scaring her. None of the friends she reached out to responded until morning. By 10:13 a.m., though, she was messaging with one of those friends, the man she'd asked about his location the evening before. She told him that she was sick and near the church at Pennsylvania and Central, God's warehouse. He came and found her at a trailer near the warehouse, and he brought her $15 because she was in withdrawal. The man who lived in the trailer answered the door, and Anastasia came out. Per her friend's later account to investigators, they spent part of the afternoon together. At 3:41 p.m., she sent her last known outgoing message. Loose plans to meet up with that same friend later in the day. He began messaging her the following morning, asking what had happened to her, but she never responded.
That was the biggest red flag, the no contact. And like I said, social media was her main, communication with friends and everything like that. We talked through Facebook Messenger, but she always found a way to use Wi-Fi and how, to be able to communicate on what time I'd be home, things like that. And everything just stopped. There was nothing. That was very concerning. And Easter was right around the corner. We planned holidays together. Are we going to grandma's? Okay, I'm going to go with my dad for a couple hours. What time are you guys doing yours? So I can be, ready. Come get me at this time. So a lot of coordinating and planning for the holiday, and that didn't happen. So that even with the drug use, she still was coming around holidays. I know that sounds weird, but that was the red flag of her not calling to find out what we were doing and what was going to happen.
What investigators were actually finding, from leads to addresses to interviews, Natalie learned about not through their detective, but through relatives' review of the police report that we've been referencing. Anastasia's paternal grandmother requested and received that document.
They never even told me about the leads. My daughter's grandma filed for the police report, and she got the police report, and nothing was redacted. And that's how I saw that information.
One of the most significant pieces of information in that report was the phone ping location. We talked about that last time, that placed Anastasia at God's warehouse. When the family discovered that, they went down to the location.
So her phone last pinged at God's warehouse, and that's 8011 Central Avenue. It's a Reformed church. They give out clothing, they feed the homeless. Anastasia did go out there and she did help hand out food. I did find that out because we went over there. We talked to the owner of the church, and he allowed us to put flyers up, and he was going to keep an eye out for her, and he knew exactly who she was. They did have surveillance, but the cameras aren't working. The detective went down there, and he also talked to them and tried pulling surveillance, and they don't have any kind of any surveillance whatsoever.
In June of 2023, a tip came through a family contact, someone too afraid to go directly to the police. In a recorded call, the person described items believed to belong to Anastasia at a southeast Albuquerque address, including a very small pair of black and white Air Max shoes, consistent with a pair that she owned, and the possible presence of a body. The tipster expressed serious fear of retaliation for cooperation. Investigators executed a search warrant at the address, but to our knowledge, no evidence was found. That same month, a detective in Oklahoma contacted APD. A stolen vehicle from Albuquerque had been recovered there, and inside of it was one of the family's flyers for Anastasia. This immediately raised concerns for Natalie, but she said that the discovery did not open up any investigative leads.
So actually, they didn't think that that was a red flag at all. So they questioned the people on how did they get the flyer, and they said that they thought they knew her. And so they just grabbed the flyer and took it to them, and which I thought was weird that they would hold on to a piece of paper and travel across the country with a missing person's flyer. So to me, that was the biggest red flag ever. And the detective just kind of wrote it off like they said they didn't know it. Nothing came from it. Nothing. That was it.
Through the summer of 2023, multiple tips came in from communities south of Albuquerque: Las Lunas, Belen, El Cerro. All of them described a young woman with red hair. Anastasia had dyed her hair red in the past, but it wasn't red at the time of her disappearance. But she did have ties in that area: an ex-boyfriend in Belen, mutual friends scattered through the communities south of the city.
Yeah, I know the gentleman, actually, the one in Las Lunas, I want to say it was at a Wendy's. He had called me personally because we had put flyers. My mom lives in Belen, and Belen is a little town not far from, or Las Lunas is a little town not far from Belen. So we put flyers all over there, and her boyfriend, their ex-boyfriend, was living in Belen. So, you know, she had some ties there, mutual friends and things like that. So we did put a bunch of flyers over there just in case she was communicating with people out there, you know, that somebody might see her. So yeah, the gentleman said she was with another guy and gave a description of the vehicle. We went to the Wendy's that next day and talked to the manager. They couldn't give us any of the video surveillance. So Dan, the missing person detective, he also went down there and looked at the video, and it ended up being it wasn't her. The store, my mom and her husband are really good friends with the owner of the store. And he used to say that Anastasia would frequent the store and go in there and buy things. So he knew her. And he said, yeah, she was here. I don't even know. I can't even tell you how long prior to her missing, but he said he had been there prior. These leads they call in are either the day after or they're not right then and there. I even say if you could get a photo of the girl, because that would help us more. It's hard to go back on when the person's already gone. You know what I mean? It was already too late. So nothing ever came of it. We went down there, put flyers, talked to the people in the area. The detectives went down there themselves and talked to people in the area, and nothing has been a positive lead. Nothing has led us to her.
In mid-January 2024, a God's Warehouse staff member who'd known Anastasia before her disappearance reported that a young woman had come in, sat down, and begun eating. The staff member spoke to her directly, and we have this information from both the police report and from the family. So, according to that staff member, the woman identified herself as Anastasia. The woman explained that she didn't look like her picture anymore, and she said she was scared to contact her family because it had been so long. Staff tried to call the family on her behalf, but no one answered. The woman got clothing from the warehouse and left, saying that she'd reach out on her own. On January 26, 2024, she returned. This time, the staff reached Anastasia's father. While they waited for him to arrive, the woman said someone was after her and that she wanted nothing to do with her family. She left before he arrived, but she had not made it far from the building when he pulled up.
Her dad went over there, and I was actually in the parking lot when all this happened. So they had called us and said there was a girl that she was even going. So people call my daughter Karma. They don't call her Anastasia. So she was using the name Karma, and I guess she had the same build as my daughter, looked a lot like my daughter, but my daughter's dad put eyes on her, and it wasn't my daughter. It wasn't her. I mean, even she has a tattoo of her name on her chest and some visible tattoos, and that girl didn't have any of those tattoos. And my daughter's dad, was in the same vicinity. I mean, put eyes on her and knew, no, that's not my daughter.
Natalie told us that Anastasia's dad was able to show the staff a video of her for comparison. And once they viewed that, they felt confident that the woman who'd come in was not Anastasia. We can't say why she claimed to be her, but there were still flyers up all over God's warehouse, so it would have been easy to get information regarding Anastasia and her case. As many listeners know, I'm from Atlanta, and it's already very hot here. Summer just isn't a vacation when you have meetings to attend and conferences to speak at, and a lot of occasions when you have to look good no matter what the weather is like. That's why I love Quince. I can buy clothes that are lightweight, comfortable, and that look amazing no matter where I'm headed. I actually just got a really cute pair of Ponte cargo pants that are dressy enough for professional meetings, but relaxed enough that I can wear them morning until night. Quince has so many gorgeous everyday pieces, including 100% European linen tops, pants, and dresses, and with styles that start at just $32, you can complete your summer wardrobe. After all, everything at Quince is priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. And you can buy a lot more than just clothes with Quince. In fact, you can elevate just about everything: bedding, housewares, and much more, all in one place. And since Quince works directly with ethical factories, you'll feel good about what you're buying too. I know I do. In fact, I've already picked out my next purchase, an organic, textured cotton peasant blouse that will get me through this heat in style. Elevate your summer wardrobe. Go to quince.com/fallline for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/fallline for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/fallline. That was not the last tip that the family received. And the next was much more worrying. In February 2024, a tip reached Natalie through Facebook from someone who said that they were afraid to be identified. The message described a man who had allegedly told a witness that he'd harmed Anastasia in retaliation, basically because she said that he'd physically assaulted her. The tipster also gave Natalie something else, an address in the town of Los Lunas.
And the guy was, not a very safe guy, and the friend thought that we should go check that house. So that's, I think, where that came from. I ended up calling the state police, and I met them at that house, and they went in, and the man allowed them to go in. He had 2 sheds on his property, and I watched everything. I was in my vehicle. We pulled up at the same time that the cops pulled up, and I spoke to the cops and let them know I'm the one that called it in, and I'm her mother. And they went on the property, and they looked, and they came back and said, no, they didn't find anything, that if there was any other addresses that I had that I needed them to go to, that they were willing, and they didn't mind knocking on doors and, checking it out, but nothing came of it.
That's been the way of things in Anastasia's case. Leads and tips, but no further evidence that could help her family understand what happened after March 16th, 2023. There have been rumors that Anastasia could have left town due to threats, but Natalie thinks that she would have been in contact by now. That is, if she had a way to do so. As for the case, it's now considered cold. The original detective has retired, and at the time of her interview, Natalie had not yet met his replacement. Per KOAT News, APD has a large missing persons caseload. At the time of their June 2024 reporting, there were 233 open cases and only 5 detectives to work them all. We understand that pressure. The team is spread thin. But APD has tried new tactics to gain traction for their cold cases. They've turned to YouTube and a video podcast called APD's Duke City Case Files. In February 2025, the series released its 12th episode. And for the first time, it featured a missing person rather than a cold case homicide. It was Anastasia's story, which was released on National Missing Persons Day. On the series, Deputy Commander Andrew Jaramillo made a public appeal for tips, and for good reason. The series had been an effective tool for APD and contributed to resolving 4 cold case murders. That coverage was vital, so was attention from local news, and Natalie also credits a local reporter who helped raise the profile of Anastasia's disappearance.
It took us time. I sent packets to the news. I called down there numerous times. I even asked the detective to call down there and see if the local news will air her story. I have a friend that knew the anchor and told him about my daughter's story, and his name's Julian. He fought for my daughter, and anytime they had a meeting, he brought my daughter's story up and said, we really need to help this family. They're not getting any attention. And then they finally picked it up, and he was able to get my daughter's story aired on their channel. So it took some time. It took a lot of fighting.
It has now been more than 3 years since Anastasia last made contact with her family. Her grandmother Brenda told us that they've all struggled to find balance in their lives, how to keep functioning while searching for her at the same time. And then there's the reality that with so many missing person cases active with APD, they don't have as much contact as they'd like.
Well, unfortunately, life goes on. We still have to work. We still have to pay bills. We still had to do those things. But, Anastasia's my only granddaughter. She's missing. She's the center of my world. Besides my kids and, my other grandsons. Without her, it's not the same. We're missing a very important person in our family. We want her home. Communication, I think that has been the hardest thing for us because Natalie is constantly, reaching out to the detectives. We haven't even met the new detective on the case. It's already been over a year that the other detective retired. We're already suffering. And then not knowing, what's going on. Are they still investigating? Reach out to the families. Let us know what's going on. Something, anything. A phone call. Just, yes, we're still working on it. We don't have anything to tell you right now, but we're still working on it. I would love more media response. I'd love any help that we can get from anybody, from our government, from anybody. We need help. I want my granddaughter to come home. Natalie has connected with so many people. She's helped other families create the missing persons flyers. She's always posting other family members that, have reached out to her that they've had, family members missing. She's met so many people. This is like an epidemic. I never even realized until now.
One connection they have made is with the advocacy group Aunties for Justice. They connected us with Anastasia's family and with Andrew Escobar's as well. Brenda said that the group's help has been revitalizing. They finally feel like there's some community to support their effort to find Anastasia.
Well, before we had these advocates, it was just me and Natalie, and we were lost. Unfortunately, when one of your family members goes missing, there's not instructions to navigate you through what to do. And when you're not hearing back from the cops and you're not hearing back from people that you're reaching out to, you have nobody. So having these advocates and them, guiding us, do this, we feel like we're not alone.
Natalie told us they've run into the same difficulty many families we've featured have faced. It is not illegal for an adult to go missing. Vlada Castle's sister Bethany, she told us about the nuance of that kind of situation last season when she explained that without signs of foul play, it's difficult to access certain resources. And Natalie, she's hit the same wall. That's why she's turning to the public to share any information that they have, no matter how small the detail is, because the family still has very little information regarding Anastasia's movements between March 1st and the 16th, just those scattered social media messages, and they don't paint a full picture of what she did each day, each hour.
The people that she was in contact with, and when her phone was last working, who was she with? Who was she? Where was she going? Who was she going to meet? Who was taking her? Who was she in contact with up until the last post? Who saw her? Did somebody see her get in a vehicle? What kind of vehicle is it? Was what? Just anybody a memory? If they saw her even after the fact, and just anything. I mean, there has to be something that she didn't just vanish. She didn't just drop off the earth. Somebody knows something. Somebody has that that lead, and I just want them to give it up. I mean, that's my daughter. She's human, she's loved, and we want her home. I do have a $10,000 reward. I'm willing to give that up immediately, no questions asked, just with that one lead that is going to lead us to her and, give us the information. I am willing to do whatever it takes, make this as safe as possible for them also. So if they are afraid, I don't want to jeopardize their life. Don't be afraid. I need my community to speak up for my daughter. She is a New Mexican, and, there are people out there that do have a heart, and I want them to not be afraid. Please don't be afraid. It doesn't matter what it is. We need an answer. We need to find out what's going on or what happened. This has been way too long without any answers and without anybody wanting to help. It just seems like everybody kind of just turned their back on her, and Anastasia wouldn't have done that to her friend. I talked to one of her close friends just the other day, and, she said Anastasia would fight tooth and nail for her and defend her. And if there was anybody being mean to her, Anastasia would stick up for her. And I know if Anastasia's friends were in this predicament, Anastasia would not be afraid to speak out. She would do what's right. I want to let people know that I love my daughter unconditionally, and we're not going to stop. We're not going to give up on her. We're going to continue to fight every day, and we're going to continue to post flyers. We're going to continue to keep her name out there.
Anastasia's grandmother Brenda agrees, and she hopes that other families will realize the importance of staying close and showing their children love every single day.
If you have children, if you have grandchildren, hug them tight. Appreciate every day that you have with them, because you never know when you won't have them.
Anastasia could still be in the streets of Albuquerque. It's her family's greatest hope, though, that she'll return to them. And if you have seen something, or if you know something, perhaps you can make that a reality. Again, no tip is too small. Anastasia Brenda Ferriera was 19 years old when she went missing in March of 2023. She would be 22 years old today. She's a Hispanic female, approximately 4 foot 11 inches tall, weighs 85 to 90 pounds, and has dark brown curly hair and brown eyes. She has a birthmark on her left cheek. She has several visible tattoos, the numbers 505 on her inner right forearm, the words "till death" on her left forearm, Ferriera in cursive on her chest, and blurred script on her thumb. Her ears are pierced, and when last seen, her hair was natural dark brown, but she has dyed it in the past. Anyone with information about Anastasia's disappearance is asked to contact the Albuquerque Police Department at 505-242-COPS or Albuquerque Metro Crime Stoppers at 505-843-STOP or p3tips.com/531. There is a $10,000 reward for information leading to her whereabouts. Next time on The Fall Line, the disappearance of toddler Arden Pepion, who was reported as last seen in a rural area of the Blackfeet Nation Reservation in Montana. If you know of a case that should be covered on The Fall Line, there's a link to our case submission form in the show notes. Thank you for listening. The Fall Line is an independent podcast, and we appreciate listener support. It allows us to do research, obtain FOIAs, pay our content advisors, and support and donate to the causes we care about. Our therapy fund is paid for through Patreon and Apple Premium subscriptions. If you try out the products we advertise, please use our sponsor codes. It really helps. And please take a moment to rate and review our show in your podcast app of choice. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, please be sure to check your subscription to make sure you're set for automatic downloads so that you don't miss an episode. My book, Lay Them to Rest, is out everywhere. Find out more through the link in our show notes. The Fall Line is created by Laura Norton and Brooke Hargrove. The show is written, hosted, researched, and produced by Laura Norton. Engineered by Southern Gothic Media and Rachel Boyd. Content advisement by Vic Kennedy. Special thanks to Liz Lipka.
Marketing is hard. But I'll tell you a little secret. It doesn't have to be. Let me point something out. You're listening to a podcast right now, and it's great. You love the host. You seek it out and download it. You listen to it while driving, working out, cooking, even going to the bathroom. Podcasts are a pretty close companion. And this is a podcast ad. Did I get your attention? You can reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Libsyn Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a pre-produced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience in their favorite podcasts with Libsyn Ads. Go to libsynads.com, that's LIBSYN, ads.com today.